Everyone. Sorry, I'm a couple minutes late. Although yesterday I saw it didn't really make a difference. Um, I've got a lot to say in a very little bit of time to say it. There's a lot of things that I want to talk about, and I want to start with. You'll see my head here. People in this country do things without considering the long-term after effects of their actions and even their words. So this morning I saw on the news that Gayton McKenzie is cunning on about the illegality of the March on March, and people must be careful because if they try and shut the country down on the 30th, there's going to be fully behind the government and da 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 da, and everything that he's saying now. Now, I find this extremely funny, to be honest with you, because this is the guy that started this whole story with Abba Hambe. Gayton McKenzie went out there and Abba Hambe as a platform to get into government. Now he's in government and he's towing Cyril Ramaphosa's party line. Now, I've got to ask the question, what is this guy's obsession with Cyril Ramaphosa? And I have to then also come to the conclusion, the only conclusion that I, as a rational South African, can come to when I see a politician make the type of turnaround in his thinking and his rhetoric that this guy is making, is that with all that is going on in these commissions and all of that stuff, and Cyril Ramaphosa's pala and all of that, the only conclusion I can rationally come to is, what does Cyril Ramaphosa have on Gayton McKenzie? That Gayton McKenzie has completely diverted from his politics to now support every single thing that Cyril Ramaphosa does, and he's 100% opposed to the impeachment and da-da-da-da-da-da-da, etc., etc. So it freaks me out. It freaks me out. You know what I'm saying? And this is something that I'm seeing across the board in South Africa. We've got this now anti-migration thing going on here, and people are being called xenophobic and all of this type of thing. And then some of the rhetoric that we are being exposed to is that, why with the stuff that's going on in Ireland and the stuff that's going on in America and the stuff that's going on in Europe, where they also now want to expel illegal immigrants and migrants and all of that, why are they not being called xenophobic, and why is it okay for them, and why can't we do what they're doing? And this is two-tier coverage and so on and so forth. So let me just try and break this down for you so that you understand the difference between what you're doing in South Africa and what is happening in Europe and America and Ireland and these places where they coming to the similar conclusion. All right. And the main thing that you as South Africans are not understanding in your actions is the repercussions going forward. So let me put it to you in a thinking that you can understand, right? The common thought amongst people that are watching the full spectrum and the full show of South Africa, right, begins, okay, where South Africa, all right, backed by the IRGC in Iran, financially, okay, takes Israel to the International Court of Justice for genocide claims on Palestinians. All right? Unaware and not being able to think that with Israel involved in a conflict in Gaza, and Israel being involved in a conflict with Hezbollah, and Israel being involved in a conflict with the Houthis, and so on and so forth, that at some point that friction, that war, is going to lead to a direct confrontation with the people that you are being paid by, that have instructed you to take that country, Israel, to the international court, not thinking further to say, but then what is going to happen is ultimately Israel is going to take on Iran, and America has still got an axe to grind with Iran because of what has happened in the 80s and 90s and the amount of Americans that have been killed by Iranic Islamic fundamentalist terrorist groups. That definitely 100% America will climb on board with Israel just on that basis to take on Iran at some point in the future. You don't think about what the ultimate consequences are going to be when America and Israel now take Iran on, which they have been doing, which has now resulted in the complete collapse of the people that were allegedly, for all intents and purposes, paying you. You didn't think that that was going to be a possibility. You thought that when Iran and America and Israel come into direct conflict because of your BRICS association, that China was going to send its military there and sort them out. Not understanding that China has never been involved in these types of escapades because China is doing what you are not doing. They are concentrating on their internal growth. China in 50 years has gone from being a third world country to the technological hub of the world. With cars, with robotics, with technology, with everything. They have concentrated on, and it started with making little plastic toy soldiers and all kinds of other little trinkets and things that they exported by the billions into the Western consumer market and brought that money in, and with that money industrialized their country to where they're now exporting BYD, bike, this, that, and making bombs because they have retained their industrial complex in their country and have industrialized their country and have built their country into an economic powerhouse. They're not interested in blowing billions and billions and billions of yen or yuan on conflicts that don't involve them. It's very simple for them. They want the oil from Iran. If they can't get the oil from Iran at the right price, they'll buy the oil from whoever they can get it at the right price. But they're not going to send Chinese troops to go fight other people's battles. If you attack China, you're going to have a problem. End of story. But they're not going to fight your battles for you. And you didn't have the foresight to understand that. So you backed Iran to the hilt. Iran has just seen its backside. Now what are you going to do? Now you're scrambling around trying to react. There's no proactivity with you guys. It's always reactionary. You take the actions without measuring the possible foreseeable consequences, and then you try and react to the consequences that are now going to come raining down on you. Because of your involvement with these regimes, the ANC itself is on clay feet, is busy collapsing, because the rest of the world has identified Iran as a terrorist, or not Iran, the IRGC as a terrorist organization, and the world together are working towards collapsing that regime with America and Israel in the front. And I promise you, China's already been promised by America that when we collapse that regime, you'll get oil from there even cheaper than you're getting it now. So chill out. And China requires the oil to keep its industrial motors running. That's it. But you don't think about that. You walk around in this superiority / permanent victim mentality, believing that you have the moral higher ground because everything you do is based on what happened in apartheid, and everybody must then thus just accept everything that you do as right because you suffered under apartheid. But the world has changed, my friends. The world helped you get free from apartheid. They then put you in control of the country where apartheid was keeping you subservient. And what have you done with it? And this is leading me to my next point. You guys are trying to say we can do the same as Ireland and Europe and England and America in terms of expelling the foreigners. No problem. No problem. But here's where the foresight and insight comes into the situation. America is the biggest economy on earth. America supports Europe, Ireland, and England in their economies, in their trade, in their industrial complex, in their military industrial complex. America is still, I thought they were going to pull out, but they haven't. America is still part of NATO. America is still part of functioning and helping the EU to trade and oil and all of that. Europe is industrialized. Europe is first world. England is industrialized. England is first world. Ireland is industrialized. Ireland is first world. America, first world. All these countries are developed, functioning, economic powerhouses. So when they start expelling the migrants out of their countries, and let's say Nigeria or Morocco or Tanzania says, oh, we're no longer going to do business with you because you expelled our people, Europe tunes sweet. Because we're doing business with America. We're doing business with China. We're doing business with Russia. And Russia and China and America buys what we produce, BMWs and Mercedes-Benzes and Ducatis and KTMs and etc. and medication and technology and all these types of things. We've got Nokia, we've got Motorola, we've got all these. And this is the difference that you guys just can't seem to flip and conceptualize. If the rest of the world turns its back on the West for expelling migrants, the West has enough capacity to do business with the West alone. They don't need to do business with anyone else. They prefer it because they make more money. They like buying Chinese goods because they have become good quality for good value, and they will continue buying Chinese goods, and China will continue doing business with them because China has got the right idea. They want to do business with everybody without sticking their noses in unnecessary conflicts and wars. And China itself is an economic powerhouse. So you can go anywhere in the world and speak to black people that have been to China, and they will tell you that is the most racist place they've ever been. And China says, we don't care. My China, we don't care what you think. That's how we are. Like it, don't like it, come here, don't come here. We don't care because we've developed our own industries. We've developed our own markets. We've developed our own militaries. We've become developed. We have turned ourselves from a third world to a first world country. We've gone from developing to developed without anyone's help other than selling you the stuff we make, and thanks for buying our stuff. And we're making it better and better and better so more people want it. Now we come to South Africa. You are terrorizing everybody. You're terrorizing the foreigners. You're terrorizing the white people. Now you're starting to terrorize the Indian oaks. You're terrorizing everyone. You're supporting every single bad thing in the world. The IRGC, this, that you support. Venezuela, drug dealers that you support. You're supporting everything that is bad. And you say, we don't care. We don't care. We don't need you. And this is where you're making your mistake, my friends. Because since you've been in power in South Africa, not only have you not developed, you've rescinded. You've rescinded. So where we had industrial complexes like ISCO and other things, the Denel, Armscor, etc., Sasol, refineries, Mosgas, these types of things on the Cook, where we could say, well, okay, like the apartheid government did. The apartheid government said, we don't care, we won't trade with you, we make our own. And they sustained it for half a century like that. You've come into power, you've destroyed all of it. Railways, industries, capital, mining, it's destroyed. It's destroyed for all intents and purposes. You don't have the capacity to get the gold out of the ground that you claim you have. You rely on foreign companies to get it out for you. You rely on foreign countries to refine it for you. You rely on foreign countries for everything. You have zero capacity to produce anything for yourself in this country. Zero. Because you've completely decimated the landscape of self-reliance. And then, while you are attacking everybody in politics, in economics, in migration, in all of that, you at the same time are saying, oh, no, we don't need anyone else. All right. So let's say now, the rest of the world does to you what they did to Zimbabwe for doing the same thing you're doing now. Where are you going to go? Where are you going to trade? Where are you going to get money from? Where are you going to get medicine from? Where are you going to get steel from? Where are you going to get oil from? Where are you going to get the stuff from? Where are you going to get it from? And if you can't get it, how are you going to then create the jobs that you've promised the people? When you've got no capacity to build the industries that are required to employ these people. Because when you had the opportunity to build these industries and to make this country a powerhouse and self-reliant and developed and all of those things, you stole the money. You put it in Swiss bank accounts. You stashed it in couches. You ripped off hospitals to the tune of billions of rands. You robbed your own people of the methods and the means to create what is required to be created in order to employ these people. And now the people that you are attacking worldwide are the very same people that you're going to need to develop these industries. And let me tell you something. When the rest of Africa starts putting pressure on China and says, we're not going to buy Chinese goods if you trade with South Africa. We're not going to allow Chinese industries if they trade with South Africa. You know exactly what you're trying to do with Israel? You becoming the Israel of Africa. You becoming the Israel of Africa. Africa is viewing you as the bully. And they're going to put the pressure in the right places to get the bully off the playground. And guess what? You've got no capacity to be self-reliant, because all the capacity you had to be self-reliant, you've destroyed it. And that's the difference between what Europe is doing with the migrants, and America is doing with the migrants, and Ireland is doing with the migrants, and Poland has done with the migrants, and Czechoslovakia is doing with the migrants, and any other developed nation and any other developed continent is doing with the migrants. They can do it because they have the capacity to be self-reliant, along with their allies. You're creating enemies as far as you go because of some preconceived notion that you will always and forever be this victim in the eyes of the world, and they will just continue throwing money at you unabatedly because shame poor you went through apartheid. The world has changed. The world has given you your opportunity to prove what you can do with what you've given, and you've done nothing with it but destroy it, and now you're blaming everyone around you for your own destruction. And the world has had enough of that. The world is more and more becoming nationalistic, where it was going to become a one world global entity. Nations are now more and more protecting themselves. And as they more and more protect themselves, they're going to kick the excess where they don't need to spend money, where they don't need to do the things that they need to do. They're going to not do it. And countries like you, South Africa, my own country, that are treating their citizens the way you're treating them, it's not going to be long before they cut you off from the world markets. And they're going to start by sanctioning these ANC guys. Why do you think Cyril Ramaphosa is backtracking and running and doing the things he's doing the way he's doing it? I don't hear him shouting anymore, you keep your America, we'll keep our South Africa. Yeah, that's gone very quiet. I don't hear Gayton McKenzie shouting Abba Hambe anymore. Because these guys can see that their rhetoric is bringing a calamity to this nation. The rest of the world is sick of our crybaby stories. When the rest of the world is busy developing, growing, and moving forward, we are living in 1948, crying about things of 1948, and doing things that are going to keep us trapped in 1948, because the way we're doing things now is exactly the way we used to do things from 1948 to 1990. Thinking those methodologies are still applicable in the world today. With the internet, you must understand, every time you beat a foreigner, it gets 2 billion views. The world is watching you doing what you're doing, and you think that the world is going to support you in this. They're not. You think Africa is going to support you in this. They're not. And when they extricate you from the world economy and world affairs, you've just been given a snub at the G7. That should be massive warning bells for you, my friends. Massive. You're not invited. So call me a liar. And when all of that is gone, you don't have the capacity to do it yourself, because everything that was here that allowed you to do it yourself, you've destroyed and stolen and looted into complete and utter decimation. So maybe you should start thinking about the long-term repercussions of your actions instead of just being reactionary to the results of stupid actions. Have a lekker day. God bless you. I hope that made sense to some people. Cheers, man.